It's my pleasure to be here. My name is Bonnie Mackay. I'm the Executive Director of the Canadian Association of Public Schools, as Betha mentioned, more commonly referred to as CAPSI. We are a national nonprofit association of public or government, what we call school districts or school boards or school divisions. These are groups of government or public schools in a certain region or a city across the country. We were officially incorporated back in 2008 to establish some standards of practice for the K-12 sector of the international education industry. And our members across the country, being a bilingual nation, offer education in English and or French. Our members span coast to coast across Canada, in the largest of urban centers, in the suburbs of those cities. Of course, we have members that are lakeside, that are on islands. We have urban, rural, suburban. We truly offer something for everyone. In addition to hosting more than 50,000 international students in a typical school year, our member schools also collaborate in a number of different ways with partner schools abroad. I should, however, note that during this pandemic year of 2020-2021, our international student enrollment has collectively fallen to just under about 20,000 international students. So a large number of our member schools, as I mentioned, have what might be called partner or sister schools abroad. In some cases, they may have a number of different types of school partnerships with a variety of different countries. This could simply entail connecting classrooms of similarly aged students for a virtual exchange of information. Could be cultural, could be language or course specific, particularly within younger elementary grades. We could also see this type of partnership involve some type of student mobility. It could be one-way mobility or a two-way type of reciprocal exchange program. And these can vary significantly. So it could be a 1, 2, or 3 week program. It could be a 1 semester or a full academic 10-month school program, and either focused on language or some aspect of culture or sport, perhaps even fine arts, or it could have, full accredited academic components while studying in Canada. Sorry, I was explaining about the way that our partner sister schools abroad can look in a variety of different ways. These partnerships have evolved and continue to evolve. And in some cases, this is a virtual sharing of information and sort of friendship opportunities. And in some cases, it does involve some type of mobility for students. However, it can also involve thought exchange and mobility for teachers and or school leaders or school principals. And this, again, may be a more informal thought exchange. It could be much more formal, perhaps teacher training, whether that be in English or French, or it could be other subject specific, of course, as well. We've come to learn that many private schools across the globe find it a very effective marketing tool to have sister schools abroad and to be able to provide an overseas experience for their students, even if only short term, even if just a few weeks, perhaps a rite of passage for students in their grade 10 or grade 11 year to be able to study abroad in a Canadian school. So it's not uncommon for our member schools to host programs like this on a regular, ongoing basis. And of course, this type of opportunity may be one in which it is focused around a particular sport or academic subject. We have a variety of member schools with special types of academies or special interest programs, and these are highly sought after as well. In addition, as has been mentioned previously in the presentation, there are, I think at last I checked, about 127 provincially accredited offshore schools in just over about 20 different countries around the globe. We also have a number of opportunities for partners for our member schools in Canada to partner abroad. And these are more commonly referred to as 1+2, 2+1, sometimes 2+2 programs, where students would participate in a curriculum delivered offshore for the first year or two, and then continue their education, complete, in fact, their high school education in Canada for the remaining 1 to 2 years, and then transition on to post-secondary institution in Canada. We are also seeing more and more online delivery of programs, particularly during the last year in COVID times. So why the interest in Canadian public schools for these variety of opportunities? Firstly, Canada is very unique in terms of its bilingual English and French offerings. Canadian public schools, as Christopher mentioned, rank very high across all PISA scales. And in fact, 95% of Canadian parents send their children to public schools. It certainly is the #1 choice of Canadian parents as well. And that is very much a testament to the excellence of education offered throughout the country. Within our membership, there's an incredible selection of options, not only in terms of language and geography, but in terms of specialized programming in these academies, whether they be sports or fine arts or academic specialties as well. Some of the partnerships, as I mentioned, may have a particular focus. So it might be a sport, it might be STEM. And many of our members have been engaged in international initiatives, whether that be overseas or domestically here, for decades. So a wealth of experience, not only, of course, supporting the needs of international students and partners abroad, but of course also, given that Canada is a very multicultural country, very accustomed to supporting the language learning of our immigrant families as well. Canada also has a very strong offering of post-secondary institutions, and the vast majority of our international students that enroll at our member schools do continue on with their studies in Canada. So while there isn't an entrance exam requirement per se for undergraduate programs in Canada, some international students may be required to take a language proficiency test. However, under certain circumstances, this requirement may be waived, and that's dependent on a number of factors, perhaps how long an international student studied in Canada, particular grades, and that type of thing. I, of course, am accompanied by a number of colleagues from provinces of British Columbia and Prince Edward Island today, so I'll leave some of the specifics to them. But I just wanted to include a last couple of slides about some resources about our associations. These resources and, of course, our digital channels all feature profiles of our member schools. And, of course, as an association, we are pleased to support any initiatives you may have in mind and to try and connect you with any of our member schools from coast to coast across the country. We truly do offer something for everyone and undoubtedly have the perfect partner waiting for you. So while these are unprecedented times, certainly our members are always open to exploring new opportunities to work with partners abroad. They're certainly thinking ahead. Our schools are open. They have well-supported international students over the last school year, and any partners that they do have abroad have continued to flourish in a variety of different ways. I would be pleased, of course, to answer any questions that you might have at the end of the presentation after my colleagues have also spoken. But of course, I provide you here my contact information too if you'd prefer to follow up at a different time. It's been my pleasure to join you here today to share a little bit about our association and our member schools. And I look forward to further supporting your efforts to connect with our member schools and explore how they might be able to partner with schools in Turkey going forward. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Bonnie, for providing a great presentation. I know we didn't give you much time, but we will have another chance, hopefully, here in Turkey next year. So our next presentation will be on opportunities with British Columbia, presented by Randall Martin and Alan Schroeder. Over to you, Randall.
Thank you all. Thank you, Vefa. I was just saying that I was very fortunate to meet Vefa in Istanbul about 18 months ago, I think. We were all wishing that we could be hosting this meeting in person in Turkey rather than from my living room in Vancouver. I'm joined today by my colleague Alan Schroeder from the BC Ministry of Education, and also I think viewing us is our Assistant Deputy Minister, also from the Ministry of Education, Marnie Mayhew. Welcome, Marnie. I'd like to thank also for the kind and generous opening from Consul Christopher Wimmer, much appreciated. So we're going to be talking a little bit about British Columbia. Opportunities with British Columbia. I would like to say that view on that slide is outside my front window. Unfortunately not, but we do consider this to be a very, very beautiful province with multiple types of geography for every taste of rural and urban settings. So about British Columbia, we are on the Pacific Ocean. Maybe the next slide, Alan. Thank you. So we're on the Pacific Ocean, the furthest, I guess, in Canada from Turkey. Because of that, historically, British Columbia has engaged a lot with Asia and looking south with the Americas in terms of our international education activities. Our capital city is Victoria, where my colleague Alan and Marnie are. I'm in Vancouver, which is our largest city in British Columbia, about 2.5 million people in Vancouver, and the third largest city in Canada after Toronto and Montreal. I know people talk about Montreal, Toronto, Vancouver, or MTV as the three big popular destinations for international students coming to Canada. but certainly there are a number of other large cities, medium-sized cities, and smaller communities across the province and across the country that would be very, very, I think, appealing to students. Canada, or British Columbia, has a population of just under 5 million people. We're considered to be one of the most ethnically provinces in Canada. And again, Vancouver, with a population of 2.5 million people, seems to be one of the more popular destinations for international students coming here. But we are working very hard with our ministries and with our colleagues in other parts of the province to encourage students to study in other parts of the province as well. It's a very diverse province. I think, again, the most ethnically diverse province in Canada. A very welcoming province to students from all over the world. And again, a very diverse province, as you see up in the top of the screen. We have a number of very well-defined regions: Northern BC, Vancouver Island, the mainland, Southern Interior, and there's something there. There's something there for everybody. Now, the next slide, who we are. British Columbia Council for International Education has been around for a number of years, but we are not actually the provincial government. We are what's called a Crown Corporation. So we are funded by and given a mandate by the provincial government, but we're not actually part of government, which is why today Alan is wearing a tie for his presentation and I'm just wearing a sweater because I'm not part of the government. But we are delivered a mandate from the province of British Columbia to support, help choreograph a very big field of international education. So our purview, our mandate helps us to coordinate education from kindergarten to PhD, public to private. That's 25 public post-secondary, 60 public school districts, many private independent schools and private colleges, a very dynamic language school sector in the province. We support incoming students, outgoing students, capacity building, professional development. We have a protocol function. So we're sort of a big tent choreographer. We like to say one-stop shopping for people in BC looking out at the world, and for people outside of the world looking into BC. So we have a very good working relationship with obviously our Ministry of Education. For the next slide, our Ministry of Advanced Education, the Ministry of Tourism, Arts, Culture and Sport, and our Jobs, Economic Recovery and Innovation Ministry. Again, as the Consul stated early on, this is a very important sector for Canada in terms of the number of jobs we have, in terms of global soft diplomacy and our international profile. But it's an important part of the economy in all of our regions as well. So we report up to the ministries, and again below we help coordinate international activities for all of the sectors of our education program. We have about, pre-pandemic, we had about 180,000 international students in British Columbia. If you look at all sectors of the economy, it's a smaller number in BC for the K-12 sector. All of those sectors have been impacted by COVID, by the pandemic. We had some very good news 2 days ago. Our provincial health officer has announced that as of September, all of our public post-secondary schools will be back into class full-time. So we see the light at the end of the tunnel of the pandemic. Again, the vaccine program is coming out. We believe we've handled it very well. We've done all we can to take care of the international students here, and we're optimistic that we'll be back to whatever the new normal looks like by the end of the year. But certainly having international students come to British Columbia is not the only thing that we do. We also have a very solid offshore school program ourselves in different parts of the world. And with that, I will hand the microphone, hand the slide deck over to my colleague Alan, and ask him to take it from here.
Thanks very much, Randall.
Alan, my apologies. Once again, I do interrupt you, but if you could please make sure that English has been chosen.
Alan, kusura bakma, bölüyorum seni. Interpretation ikonu altında İngilizce dilinin seçili olup olmadığını kontrol edebilir misiniz? Bütün konuşmacılarımızdan interpretation ikonu seçtikten sonra English dil seçeneğini seçmelerini rica edeceğiz. Çok teşekkürler. Doğru bir şekilde yapabildiğimi bilmiyorum. Herkese günaydın, tünaydın, iyi akşamlar. İsmim Alan Schroeder. British Columbia, Kanada Batı Yakası Uluslararası Okullar Programı'ndan katılıyorum. Aynı zamanda icra direktörümüz de bizlerle bağımsız okullar ve uluslararası okullarla ilgili olarak British Columbia Eğitim Bakanlığı'nda görev yapıyor. Şu an vaktimiz sınırlı olduğu için ben hemen sunuma geçmek istiyorum. Öncelikli olarak British Columbia Uluslararası Okul Programı'ndan bahsetmek istiyorum. Bu programımızın en önemli özelliklerini vurgulamak istiyorum. Hali hazırda hangi ülkelerde olduğumuzu görüyorsunuz. 8 farklı ülkede 45 okulumuz var. Yaklaşık 9.000 öğrencimiz var. Hepsi kreş 3. sınıftan 12'ye kadar, 12. sınıfa kadar öğrenciler ve yine Kanada tarafından akreditasyona sahip öğretmenler burada görev alıyor. Geçtiğimiz yıllarda aslında bu program, Uluslararası Okul Programı, bütün Kanada eyaletlerinde ve bölgelerinde yürütülen en büyük programdı. Şu anda Kanada'da 7 ayrı eyalette bu program
available to international partners. One of the highlights of the British Columbia Offshore School program is the opportunity for a dual diploma for students, and that allows students to gain both the British Columbia and the local high school graduation certificate. And about 3/4 of British Columbia's offshore schools offer dual diploma opportunities. The remainder offer just the British Columbia high school diploma. There are a number of benefits to that, to dual diploma opportunities. For one, with post-secondary applications, given the worldwide recognition of the British Columbia Education Program, the BC Dogwood may be useful when applying for international universities and colleges where it may be beneficial to use the BC Dogwood. And contrasting that with those students that may choose to apply to a local university, it may be advantageous to them to use their local high school diploma towards their local university or college application. Graduating from a BC offshore school demonstrates talent and English language proficiency, and that can really benefit university and college applications, as well as beyond that when applying for jobs. Putting on a student's resume, that's a really important thing. The third point that I'll offer there is students who have graduated from a BC offshore school program are much more prepared for success at university and college than those that have not been part of a BC program or another offshore school program. By participating in a BC offshore school program for a few years, minimum of 3 years, for example, they have developed skills in critical and creative thinking, for example. They've developed skills in communicating, in collaborating with others, and they've developed personal and social competencies that they need to thrive as individuals and to understand and care about themselves.
Birey olarak kendilerini geliştirebiliyorlar. Ve bu şekilde de dünyada kendi hayallerine uygun hedeflerini gerçekleştirebiliyorlar. Evet, şu anda British Columbia programı ve mezunları doğrudan Kanada'ya gelerek bu programa katılmanız gerekmiyor. Ve bunu başka ülkelerde onayladığımız programlar üzerinden de yapabiliyoruz. İki konuya vurgulamak istiyorum. İlk olarak BC Uluslararası Okul Programı mezunları aslında çok daha yüksek bir ortalamayla mezun oluyorlar. Yani çok başarılı oluyorlar. İkinci olarak da programdan mezun olanlar, programa katılanlar dünyanın başta gelen üniversitelerinde, kolejlerinde, enstitülerinde öğrenim hayatlarına devam ediyorlar. Her yıl yaklaşık 3000 öğrenci British Columbia Uluslararası Okul Programı'ndan mezun oluyor. Bunların %12 ila %20'si British Columbia eyaletinde bulunan diğer orta eğitim sonrası kurumlara gidiyor. Aynı zamanda yine hem Kanada'da hem de dünyanın diğer bölgelerindeki önemli üniversite ve kolejlere kayıt yaptırabiliyorlar. Şu anda 20 farklı ülkede öğrenim hayatına devam eden mezunlarımız var. Pek çoğu Birleşik Krallık'ta, Avustralya'da, Yeni Zelanda, İsviçre, Japonya, Fransa ve Hollanda gibi ülkelerde öğrenimlerine devam ediyorlar. Gördüğünüz gibi burada fırsatlar sonsuz aslında. Bu yansıda sizlere bahsetmek istediğim konuysa kalite güvencesi, yani burada bütün bu eğitim programlarının sahipleri ya da yöneticilerine olan güven. Bizler her şeyden önce küresel olarak tanınmış bir müfredata ve mezuniyet sertifikasına sahibiz. Ve British Columbia Uluslararası Okul Programı
across the province. Further, I would say that British Columbia is a worldwide leader in curriculum and assessment development. And over the past few years, as our ministry, as our government has redesigned and refreshed our curriculum and assessment model, there have been many countries and states from around the world that have been looking and meeting with our ministry, with our government, to learn about our experience and our success at curriculum and assessment redesign. Strong government support. We are a government administered program, which is different from most international school programs around the world. Our schools are individually operated, but we have oversight and a number of guidelines and rules that we expect schools to follow. We are one of the largest government-run programs in the world, and that can provide confidence to owner-operators that are partnering with us through this program. We have dedicated ministry staff. I am the director of the offshore school program, of course, and I work with a full-time team of several employees that support and oversee schools and the delivery of the BC education program there. Another key quality assurance element is our requirement for BC certified teachers and a BC certified principal to lead the schools. I want to be really clear that while we prefer that all of our schools, our teachers and principals are trained and have experience in the BC education system, it is possible for teachers with credentials from other provinces and other countries from around the world to become certified with the British Columbia Ministry of Education. There is a clear process that is outlined on our ministry's website for how to go through the certification process with our province. So teachers who are not from British Columbia are able to go through that process, become certified, and become certified teachers. I mentioned earlier that there are some locally certified teachers that are teaching at offshore schools. While we do require that BC certified teachers deliver the British Columbia curriculum, there are some exceptions where locally certified teachers are able to deliver curriculum. For example, in the areas of arts education, as well as physical and health education, those two subject areas. And we also allow some locally developed courses, courses to be developed locally. And for some of those, locally certified teachers can deliver those courses. We have a rigorous and well-defined application process. It's a 6-step process beginning with an expression of interest. It can take as little as 8 months or so to go through the entire application process to get approval to begin delivering the British Columbia curriculum. Depending on your situation and any challenges you may see along the way, it can take up to 2 years or so to get through the application process. Another key quality assurance piece is our annual school inspections and reporting requirements. This is part of our ongoing monitoring of BC offshore schools. And finally, another piece of our quality assurance is the requirement for each of our operators to contract with what we call an offshore school representative. An offshore school representative is an experienced British Columbia educator who acts as a liaison between the operator and the ministry. They're not full-time employees of schools, but they support schools in a few different areas. They are valuable in helping a new owner-operator navigate the application process with our ministry. They play an important role in helping to recruit teachers and principals for schools, and they play an important role in helping schools during their annual reporting and inspection periods. Okay, just a couple more slides where I wanted to show a couple examples of offshore schools. Here's one of our newest schools. It's the Canadian School Bahrain in just a little bit southeast, I think, of where you are there. This school opened up just over a year ago. In its first year, it had a pretty good start with just over 70 students in grades 1, 2, and 3. And this year, in its second year, it has added more than 150 new students and has added 2 additional grade levels, grade 4 and 5. And going forward, they plan to continue growing, adding by 1 or 2 grade levels each year until they eventually offer the full grade 1 to grade 12 spectrum of courses. What you see here on the screen is the one building that exists right now. As the school grows, it intends to add 3 more wings like this on the campus, just behind it there. This school is operating as a not-for-profit philanthropic endeavor by the owner operator of the school, who is a land developer. And one more school to show you. This is our school in Tokyo. This is an example of a host school model. This is a large private school that has a middle school and a secondary school. And they have created an international program for some of their talented students. So the BC program exists in a wing of this school that you see on the screen here. The school opened about 5 years ago with about 15 students in grade 10. Over the subsequent years, it added grade 11 and grade 12 to its curriculum. It currently has an enrollment of just over 100 students in grades 10, 11, 12, and it anticipates growing to approximately 200 students. And it eventually aims to offer grades 8 and grade 9 in its curriculum. So eventually it intends to offer grade 8 through grade 12. And yeah, I'll finish my presentation there, just keeping an eye on the clock. Thanks very much for listening. I hope this was appropriate and suitable, informational for you, valuable, and it gives you an interest to want to learn more. So I welcome you to reach out to Vefa or to Randall or to me or Marnie, and we will share our contact information with you afterwards. Thanks very much. Vefa, back to you.
Thank you so much. Randall and Alan, thank you very much for this interesting presentation. The images on your slides are certainly very pleasing to the eye. What a beautiful destination you have. I'd like to move on to the last item on our agenda, last but not least. I'm very happy to invite Derek McEwen from the Government of Prince Edward Island Department of Education and Lifelong Learning to tell us about the Prince Edward Island Affiliated Schools Program. Derek, over to you. Thank you.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here with you this morning, this afternoon, this evening, whichever your time zone brings you in. I'm just going to get prepared here to show my slideshow. There we go. I think we have it. We have it up now. So we've all talked about opportunities, and we'd like to talk about building an opportunity together with partners from Turkey. Merhaba. My name is Derek McEwen. I'm the Director of International Education for Prince Edward Island. And just a quick background, I've been in PEI education for 25 plus years in the role of teacher, principal, Director of Curriculum, and most recently Director of International Education, where I am responsible for the International Student Program and the Affiliate School Program. My goals for the presentation are to introduce you to Prince Edward Island, our provincial education system, our affiliate process, including some identified challenges and opportunities that would exist for your students. On the world stage, we are small in size and in population, yet we are world-class in many ways. The world's longest bridge, world-class culinary and golf, and as I will speak to in a few minutes, a world-class education system. So we are located on the east coast of Canada, on the opposite end from BC. So just across the Atlantic, we're in Europe. I will let this story tell you a little bit about the island and islanders.
On the island, we have always known that working together produces the best quality and helps get the most accomplished. Time hasn't changed that. Our bioscience and advanced manufacturing companies choose to work together just as much as our farmers and fishers do. Our schools, colleges, and university have been quick to respond to the changing needs of our workforce. This has been the key to being the only jurisdiction in Canada with continuous economic growth since 2008. Our province is doing well, but keeping score has never been our thing. Of course, this is exactly what makes PEI such a great place to live, work, study, and play. It's a place where your neighbors take as much pride in your success as you do in theirs. Newcomers are choosing the island at a higher rate than anywhere else in the country. Our workforce is skilled and only getting stronger. And our employment rate is growing faster than anywhere else as well. It's no wonder we regularly lead the country in business confidence. Even our early learning and childcare system rated #1 in Canada. People are attracted to a place where families can thrive and grow, just like our startups, and where protecting the pristine natural beauty around us is a top priority. Here, we say what we mean, and we mean what we say. We don't just talk about diversity, we've wholeheartedly embraced it. We're tenacious, and we don't let up until we can stand back with our hands on our hips with something in front of us that we can be proud of. We're ready to help you pursue your passions and your ambitions. Choose PEI.
I hope that was able to give you a little bit of a flavor of what PEI is and what our people are like. Just a little history of our program to date. Currently, we have a long-standing partnership with 3 schools, beginning in 1999 with the school in Tokyo that continues today. We have 3 different models in our school, a 1 to 12 configuration, a high school 10 to 12 configuration, and on PEI, high school is grades 10 through 12. And we have a 2+1 model where students complete grade 10 and 11 in China, and then attend Prince Edward Island School for grade 12. And similar to BC, our CIS Tokyo school is a standalone private school, and our other 2 schools are programs within a larger school. Also in the latter 2 cases, we do consider the credits the students have achieved in the national curriculum and recognize this learning when considering the requirements for the PEI program. For example, a student may receive a PEI grade 10 math credit based on the math credit from their national curriculum. All of these conversations and decisions are made in the application and contract process and revisited regularly. And similar to the BC model, it is possible for students to graduate with a dual credit, one from their local institution and the Prince Edward Island graduation certificate. And we're certainly interested in adding to our team of affiliates and are open to exploring the best model with you. As Mr. Wimmer stated earlier in his opening remarks, Canada as a country performs very well on the world stage. As education is a provincial responsibility in Canada, there might be differences between provinces. PCAP informs Canadians about how well their provincial education systems are meeting the needs of students and society. The information gathered from these tests of student achievement in reading, mathematics, and science provides the provinces and territories with a basis for examining their curriculum and improving their assessment tools. Making comparisons of results is complex. However, these tests help determine whether students across Canada reach similar levels of performance at or about the same time in their schooling. This graph shows the achievement in reading across provinces by average score. And it is the 2016 score, the 2016 PCAP results. And these are administered every 3 years, and the 2019 results aren't public yet. So in 2016 reading, PEI students achieved the highest score in reading across all provinces with a score of 513. And PEI students, along with students from Ontario, Alberta, British Columbia, and Quebec, performed at the Canadian average. This graph shows the achievements in math across provinces. PEI students achieved a score of 503, and along with Ontario, performed at the Canadian average, while Quebec performed significantly higher than the Canadian average. And finally, this graph shows achievement in science across provinces. PEI students achieved the second highest score of 516. And PEI, along with Ontario, Quebec, British Columbia, and Newfoundland, performed at the Canadian average, while Alberta is above the Canadian average. PEI is also choosing a world-class education opportunity. The development of curriculum is also a provincial responsibility. However, some national cooperation does exist. And when a curriculum specialist undertakes the work of developing curriculum,
İşbirliği ve koordinasyon.
examine the curriculum in other Canadian provinces, as well as from around the world. In Canada, you will find similarities in curriculum from province to province. And when we enter an agreement with an affiliate, the main commodity we are providing is our curriculum. The outcomes in every subject through every grade are woven together to ensure the graduate has competencies in these 6 overarching domains: citizenship, communication, personal and career development, creativity and innovation, critical thinking, and technological fluency. And as we saw from the recent PCAP results, Prince Edward Island students reach similar levels of performance as their peers across the country while following our provincial curriculum. A sample from our science document reveals the relationship between the outcomes and the essential graduation competency. So we have the outcome in the middle of the screen there and the competencies down at the bottom. And we've just checked which competencies are being addressed when that outcome is being learned in class. We have also done significant work identifying the cognitive level of outcomes, and that's the top box. This supports the teacher in designing the teaching and assessment to the appropriate level. If we want students to problem solve, it is not enough to teach and assess at the factual level. Our curriculum documents also contain achievement indicators, helping teachers understand how students should be able to demonstrate their learning. And similar to BC, students in our affiliate schools use the exact same curriculum and resources as students in our island high schools. The culmination of participating through the years of this excellent curriculum is a Prince Edward Island graduation certificate. The same one that our students receive here on the island. The graduation certificate can open doors, as it has for the graduates of our 3 current schools, to attend these top Canadian universities. Now, this is a 2020 list of Canada's top 9 done by an independent national magazine. One may argue with the system that the magazine used, but it's certainly one that's always anticipated here in Canada. And students from our affiliated schools do go on to Canada's top universities. And the numbers seem low there. I just wanted to share that in our Jinling School 10 to 12, it's approximately 160 students through the 3 grades. And in our CIS Tokyo School, that is grades 1 through 12, we have approximately 350 students in that school 1 to 12. And then our 2+1 is a small program with between 15 and 20 students per cohort each year. So even though our numbers aren't high, the level of success is certainly there for our students. In addition to these top 9 Canadian universities, important to our province and our region is the attendance of local universities. So this is one of our goals, is to be able to have our graduates choose specifically University of Prince Edward Island, but also Atlantic schools. I think one of the things that happens is there is a bit of a brand name recognition. So your top universities are always the ones that they think are the ones that they should go to. And we try to educate our affiliate students and our parents that in Canada, any post-secondary institution is going to offer a fabulous education. And it's important to look at other aspects, the size, the geography, the specific program that you're looking for, because there are wonderful opportunities in many of our Canadian post-secondary schools. So in addition to these 9 and the local ones, there are more opportunities around the world for your students who hold a Prince Edward Island graduation certificate. And we have students attending post-secondary in the United States, United Kingdom, Australia, and of course in their local areas as well. Our process begins with an expression of interest being submitted, a general information form. We do our initial background check, which usually involves the services of the Trade Commissioner. If we are interested in moving forward, we would invite the candidates to an interview. It is through this process that both sides are better able to understand if there is a match in goals and philosophy. The interview and subsequent conversations are more of a process.
Karşılıklı olarak amaçlarımızı
More time here to ensure moving forward is beneficial for us and the candidates. Once we are more comfortable to move forward, we would extend an invitation to apply, which includes the payment of the application fee. Generally, the application is now formally documenting most of what we discussed during the interview process. It's an extensive document that covers everything from local licensing, school facilities, staffing, timetables, national credit recognition, teachers, teacher accommodations, and more. A site visit is then conducted as final confirmation of the application information. A positive decision leads to a contract between the Department of Education and Lifelong Learning, our minister, and with our partners. And generally, it begins as a short-term, a 1-year or 2-year contract. And once we are more comfortable with the initial period, that contract could be extended. As our colleagues mentioned in BC, quality control is extremely important. The reputation of our department and our government relies on this process. It begins by ensuring a strong foundation is at the heart of our partnership. Our application process and choosing to go forward with the right partner is the best beginning for quality control. Affiliate schools are connected to our marks management system, allowing for the oversight of grading and the granting of credits, especially critical at the high school level. Each year, an annual report submitted by the school and our annual inspection leads to the creation of an action plan by our schools. The goal here is to support the continuous improvement efforts of our affiliates and to stay connected on an annual basis. Our annual inspection is typically done on site, although COVID has allowed us to explore the potential of using the virtual inspection process, perhaps on a rotational basis with on-site inspections moving forward. The inspection report focuses on these 6 main categories and does involve getting information from students, parents, and teachers. An important part of the process is to be able to confirm that all stakeholders share a similar perspective of the successes and challenges of the school. Challenges are to be expected in any relationship. In our experience, these 3 main areas are key for success. Maintaining the integrity of our curriculum and graduation certificate and ensuring financial viability for the business owner. And again, as mentioned, when you're entering a partnership with Prince Edward Island, it is with the Department of Education rather than an individual school or a private school that may be the opportunity in some other jurisdictions. So like BC, it is an agreement with the province and the Department of Education. It's also important to understand that meeting English language requirements is not a measure of intelligence. Strong language acquisition takes time. So a lot of what we do in terms of the graduating with a PEI certificate ensures that the strong language acquisition has adequate time to make sure that the students are prepared for their post-secondary travels. And like BC, PEI certified teachers doesn't mean teachers from PEI. It simply means their credentials would allow them to be licensed or certified on PEI. That being said, we would love to see more PEI experienced teachers in our affiliate schools. One of the advantages to working with PEI is the personal touch. The same team who works through the application is conducting the inspection and is your point of contact. And as you can tell in the picture, I am one of those points of contact. Strong relationships are developed between our staff and the affiliate school. This personal touch can help overcome some of the previously mentioned challenges to ensure clear communication and a strong working relationship. An additional benefit of working in a small province is that I report directly to the Deputy Minister, and this allows for quicker decision-making and student-centered decision-making. An example of this would be this year, during COVID. COVID interrupted the opportunity for our grade 12 students from Ganjo in the 2+1 model to attend a Prince Edward Island High School. We had to quickly find a solution to ensure these students could still graduate with a Prince Edward Island graduation certificate. Working with our partner, we quickly transitioned this group to online learning. They attended the school in China as a class and received a hybrid of synchronous and asynchronous classes conducted by island teachers. Knowing the importance of a strong teacher for this model, I personally facilitated the introduction of the best island teachers to our business partners to ensure the students receive the best instruction possible. These students will receive a Prince Edward Island International Student Transcript created specifically for this situation, and they will receive a Prince Edward Island graduation certificate. The final message I want to leave with you is that with a strong relationship, we can build a strong partnership together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Derek. Thank you to all our presenters. Thank you, Bonnie, Randall, Alan, and Derek. Now that we've heard from you, the experts of the matter on potential education partnerships, I would like to open the floor for the Q&A session. Although we've gone a little bit over our time, I'm very thankful that some of our panelists have taken the time and answered some of the questions already. So we might not have too many waiting for us. But I think I saw one that might be interesting for everyone. Is it possible to send teacher trainees for a PEI certification before they graduate? I don't know if it's clear, Derek, what is meant by that.
Yeah, I'm not sure. Can you repeat the question for me?
Is it possible to send teacher trainees for a PEI certification before they graduate? Perhaps I will ask the attendee to rephrase and send it again to us. I've left our email address there in the section, in the Q&A section. Also, there is one question about the similarity between the dual diploma program that the TED school is implementing in Turkey. And I believe that is very similar because they are doing it with the provincial government, but they're on temporary, maybe provisional accreditation right now. So I think it is similar. A lot of students here really wonder about the tangible, outcomes or advantages, and I think you've touched upon them. The entrance into the university system in your respective provinces, world-class education, language proficiencies. What else is there you would like to add? Is there anything else you'd like to add to this? No. What else? In Turkey. So someone has said maybe they mean internship for teachers. I think we also come across this question a lot. Teachers would like to go to Canada and exercise maybe their profession at a Canadian school, at a public or private school, and do some internship or get some experience we're not sure how to go about it. Are there schools in Canada that are open to such partnerships? Maybe it could be observed in the classroom, or it could be taking part in the classroom teaching. Is it possible, you think? I know that strict certification is required, by certain provinces, so they may not be able to teach per se, but might be able to maybe observe.
I think as a part of the teacher training programs that are offered by a number of our member schools, there is, typically an observation component. There is opportunity for that, but these are typically teachers that are...
de var. Ama bunlar halihazırda sertifikasyonlarını almış ve kendi
further their learning and their teaching skills in a particular subject matter.
Thank you, Bonnie. There's a question about can private school teachers get a PEI certificate through a certain training? I think this question is about a Turkish teacher in a private school getting PEI certification.
Prince Edward Adası sertifikasyonunu alabilir mi?
We have it outlined. It's more of an administrative process where a teacher would submit their credentials, their post-secondary credentials to our registrar at the department. He would evaluate their teaching credentials and determine whether they would be able to receive a PEI certificate. So whether it's a private school or a public school, it really depends on what their training was.
Thank you.
I'll just add too that another consideration would be the similarity between the education system from the local jurisdiction and that of the Canadian province. If they're similar, then the process can be fairly smooth. If the education systems are considered to be sufficiently different, there may be a requirement for some training to become more acclimatized with the BC or with the Canadian education system. So a few courses in order to support the certification process.
Excellent, thank you. So it is our understanding that schools in Turkey would not necessarily have to employ Canadian nationals, citizens, or certified teachers, because this is the most asked question to us.
That is correct. In the case of a BC offshore school, any person, any nationality can become certified with the British Columbia Ministry of Education. Certainly, similar to my previous comment, those who have had training in an education system that's somewhat similar to BC's education system have an easier time going through the certification process. But anybody that has a teaching certificate can apply for certification and go through the process and attempt to meet the requirements.
Thank you, Alan. There are two important questions that I'd like to address to you and then perhaps call it a day for now. So there is one about possibility of implementation of dual diploma programs through just online courses. Is it possible to do it fully virtually?
That's a very good question. And it's a question that Marnie and I and our team are considering these days. Prior to the COVID pandemic, the easy answer to that is that no, it is a requirement to have all classes delivered on site, with the exception of a few courses that can be delivered through online learning. But in principle, the program is offered on site. But we have learned and experienced a lot over the last year with the delivery of curriculum through online means, and schools have been quite successful. Through our observations, I wouldn't say that it's a complete substitute online for on-site education, but schools are proving to be quite successful at delivering curriculum through online means. So it is important for us to consider that very question going forward and how we can develop a model that is able to blend the best of on-site and online learning for students. So that's the best answer I can give at this point.
I see. And by delivering it online, do you mean that the BC school would deliver it, or the on-the-ground school? Like, would it be the Turkish school delivering BC curriculum online, or would it be a BC school located in BC delivering it online?
Yeah, thanks for the clarification question. It would be, when I talk about online delivery, I'm referring to a British Columbia certified teacher somewhere in the world, commonly in British Columbia, but not necessarily, who is delivering a course to students at the BC Offshore School.
I see. Thank you. There's another question to Bonnie. So to Ms. Mackay, are there any procedures, chances to receive a Canada high school diploma through long-term exchanges, but not through certified affiliate program? So without engaging in an affiliate program, is it possible to do long-term exchanges and then receive Canadian high school diploma?
Kanada'da eğitim alması aracılığı mümkün mü? Şimdi bu soru
for a few years to complete their high school education, absolutely.
Yes, I think that's what's meant.
We have many students that choose to complete their high school education in Canada, and will do so probably most commonly from grade 10, in some cases grade 11.
Excellent, thanks.
I'll add to Bonnie's response, and I put in response to one of the questions that an attendee asked, but all of the credits obtained from a BC offshore school are fully transferable to schools in the province. So if there is a student that wants to complete their, take their grade 11 or complete their program, their graduation program in BC, they're able to do that without any problems, and vice versa. If there's a student that's studying in BC, their credits can transfer from a BC public or independent school over to a BC offshore school as well for a seamless process there. And while I don't have too much experience myself, I believe that credits are pretty seamlessly transferable between provinces as well.
Mm-hmm.
So there are many opportunities available to students.
Thank you. So, okay, I think there's a lot of questions coming in late, but if you don't mind, I'll take a couple more. For PEI and BC accreditation process, how many students must be involved for starting accreditation process? Is there a minimum number?
We do have a minimum, but we're pretty flexible. So really we take a look at the strength of the application from its beginning, and we look at the projected growth, and we're willing to work from there. So our documents would have a hard and fast number, but in reality, we can have a little bit more flexibility based on what we see and what the potentials would be.
So in a nutshell, we invite everyone to contact you directly and start the conversation. Over to you, Alan, please.
Yeah, sure. Similar to Derek, we have guidelines where when a school is a few years into their experience as a school, they have a little bit of experience, their name, brand has, recognition has grown, and through that they've been able to recruit more students. At that point, it's kind of maturity. We expect that schools have approximately 60 students per grade level. But we understand that at the beginning, especially in the first year, that's a challenge to recruit a lot of students to an international school. Not all schools, but some. So we're certainly flexible. So similar to how Derek described, looking at business plans, forecasts, and so on, we consider that as well. But when a school reaches maturity, we're expecting that schools have roughly 60 students per grade level or more. And that allows a school to offer the kind of environment that we want British Columbia students to have. So the more students there are, the better environment that the school can provide, the more courses, the more electives they can provide, the more extracurricular activities, and the more support that they're able to provide compared to, for example, a school that has 20 students per grade. You can imagine the differences there.
Yes, thank you. Thank you so much.
I'm very sorry. To all my colleagues, thank you very much. You saw my son. I have to take him to school. That was a gentle tap on my shoulder.
Benim de oğlum okula gitmek için beni bekliyor.
Stop because of me, but I need to move on.
Thank you so much. Thanks. Have a great day. Thanks. And the final question here will come. This is the real final one. Does Canadian government work with intermediary agents for accreditation of schools? Can an intermediary maybe take this program and start marketing it in a certain country? Or do you have to be in direct contact with the schools and evaluate it yourself?
Good question. Ultimately, our agreement, we call it a certification agreement, is between our province, represented by our ministry, directly with the operator of the school. So that's ultimately the relationship there. In terms of the early stages of the process, there are often introductions that are made by agents, by education agents, saying a common case is an education agent has met with me or with somebody like Randall through their travels, and we've started talking about the offshore school program to the agent, and the agent says, oh, I know a private school, a local school that I think would be a good candidate to consider this opportunity. So I'm going to talk to them about that. So they would, an education agent could get involved that way and then make the introduction. There could be a role for the education agent to play. Perhaps it's recruitment of students, perhaps it's recruitment of teachers, perhaps it's post-secondary advising, guidance, counseling to students considering their post-secondary studies. But again, I go back to my initial response, which is the agreement, the contract between our province and the school is directly with the operator, with an agent.
Okay, I see Derek also nodding, so it's similar. All right, yeah, well, yeah, thank you. Thank you so much for your time. I know it's getting late in Turkey, it's dinner time. I will follow up with all the attendees today and then provide the slides to them, provide all the information that they require, the additional information that they, and also I would like to remind you all that we're here and available to make introductions, to make one-on-one meeting facilitation. This is our job. The Trade Commissioner Service is happy to facilitate this connection further. And I hope this was just the start and the conversation will continue offline. So this is not a one-off event. And I do hope one day to host you all here in Turkey, in the beautiful Istanbul. And for now, I just want to thank everyone for taking the time out of their busy schedules and attending today's session. Yeah, have a great night in Turkey, have a great day in Canada, and speak to you soon. Thank you so much.